Hi everyone, today I am going to be running through my top skin-like foundations. This has been a heavily requested video. These are the foundations that even when you build them, still look really natural and practically undetectable. And hopefully there will be something for everyone. There will be sheer to light coverage, there will be light to medium coverage, and there will be medium to full coverage. All of the categories really skin-like and stunning on the skin. Now, there were so many foundations that I wanted to include in this video, I had to narrow it down and throw a few out. So there will be no skin tints in this video. There will also be no foundations or tinted moisturizers that I previously featured in my top tinted moisturizer video. So there will be no MAC face or body, even though that is really beautiful and very skin-like. There will also be no Trini London foundations because they are skin tints, and no other skin tints like the L'Oreal skin tint that I previously featured in my best drugstore foundation video either. But all of those foundations are also fantastic, but won't be featuring in this video today. Now, this video was actually supposed to go live last week, but I found out that one of my best friends in the entire world, Stephanie Marie, had also filmed a video concept very similar to this one that was supposed to go live on exactly the same day that I'd planned for this video to go live. So because we both realized that we've got quite a large crossover as subscribers, I decided to push mine to this week rather than having them both go live at the same time. If you haven't seen Stephanie's video already, I highly recommend going over and checking it out after you've watched this one. We both have different skin types and we also both live in different climates. So Stephanie lives in New Orleans where it's really hot and humid, and I live in the UK where, you know, it can be pretty much anything apart from warm at the moment. So yeah, definitely go and check out Stephanie's video. She's got a lot of selections in that video that I actually don't include in this video, and vice versa. Okay, so before we jump into the first foundation, I will be showing you the application process of each and every foundation. I'll also show you the finished look in both studio lighting and natural lighting, but I wanted to let you know that I will not be wearing any skincare, any primers, or any powders within those videos. Skincare, primers and powders can completely change the finished look of a foundation and also completely change how that foundation wears throughout the day. And I wanted you to see the foundation in studio lighting and natural lighting without anything hindering the actual finish of the complete bare foundation. So hopefully that will help you out make a decision on whether that foundation will look nice on your skin. Just bear in mind though that if my skin is looking a little bit dry in some of the video clips, it's not because of the foundation, it's because my skin doesn't have any moisturizer on. So the things I do for you, it almost killed me. Let's talk about the first foundation. Now, this gives sheer buildable coverage, and although it looks stunning on the skin at medium coverage, it does look slightly less skin-like as the day goes on. I feel like this foundation is at its best at sheer to light coverage. It's just beautiful. Now, this is going to suit anybody with a normal to dry skin. If you have seriously flaky dry skin, however, the application process of buffing this into the skin will probably kick up some of those dry flaky areas, so just be warned there. Also, if you have an oily skin, although this will look stunning at first, you might not like this as the day goes on. This is the Monica Blunder Beauty Blunder cover. It comes in 13 different shades and my dry skin just adores this foundation. This gives a natural, radiant glow finish. There are lots of oils in this formula, but it's slightly more creamy rather than waxy in texture. It's extremely hydrating, so if you do have dry skin, you may find that this clings to those dry areas to begin with, but once this settles, those oils take center stage and your dry skin will just not be recognizable after around about 20 minutes wear. The skincare benefits in here, it's got arnica, which is anti-inflammatory. It's got edelweiss, rosemary, and chamomile, and aloe vera, which add calming properties to the skin. And it's also got sunflower extract for that vitamin E. It's alcohol and essential oil free. It's also cruelty free and vegan. You can apply this with a brush and really buff it into the skin like I'm doing within the video, or you can apply it with your fingers. I wouldn't say that this is really suitable for damp blending sponge application because it just takes too long. If you do have those dry flaky areas on your skin, I would definitely recommend you apply it with your fingers over those areas just to avoid the kickback of any of those flaky skin patches. This is really easy to apply to the skin, but it's also very easy to apply too much around your problematic areas. So I do have to concentrate around my nose and in between my brows to make sure that I'm not applying too much. It's also slightly more time consuming because of the stiffness of this product. It does take slightly longer to apply it to the skin, which is why I don't reach for this all the time, because it just takes a little bit longer to apply. This doesn't feel tacky on the skin at all, which I was really surprised at. And because it actually sinks into the skin, it lasts a really good 8 hours on me. This doesn't sink into my fine lines, it doesn't sink into my pores, it just looks beautiful. Moving on to those foundations that will give light to medium coverage. I have refound some absolute gems whilst researching this video and trying all my foundations again. And some of the foundations that I used to love that for some reason stopped using, I am just in love with again and wearing all the time. So this is definitely one of those foundations. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation and Skincare, and it's suitable for all skin types. This comes in 40 different shades and has a thin, creamy consistency that actually runs down the back of your hand when my hand is tilted. And I find this actually fascinating. It's probably a really boring fact, but most of the foundations that feature in this video have a similar consistency formula. There are only a couple that differ. This gives a natural radiant finish. It's infused with microfine pearl particles to give you a really glowy look without hindering the longevity of the wear. It's lightweight, it's got aloe vera to soothe and calm, it's got glycerin in there to hydrate, which is my unsung hero. It's fragrance and essential oil free. It's also alcohol free, which I think is amazing for an IT Cosmetics foundation. The CC cream had lots of essential oils and also a fragrance in, and they've obviously listened to their audience and decided to do this one without, which I think is absolutely fantastic. You can apply this with a brush, a sponge, or your fingers, whichever you prefer. I actually like to apply it with a brush. Because of the thin consistency, you do lose quite a lot of the product within a sponge, so I prefer to go with the brush just to be more cost effective. This doesn't sit in any of my dryness or my fine lines. I find that this is transfer resistant and it doesn't feel tacky on the skin. It dries down really, really quickly. So you can apply this really fast and also apply the rest of your products on top of it really quickly as well without hindering the overall look. This lasts a good 10-12 hours on me with no powder whatsoever. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like powder, you may want to try this. This next foundation has a slightly different consistency to most of the other foundations that are appearing in this video. It's beautiful. It's been one of my favorites for a really long time. This is also one of my mum's favorites as well. This is the Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation. It gives light to medium coverage and it's suitable for all skin types, but I wouldn't recommend this for anybody that is super oily. I don't think you'd get proper longevity out of this foundation if you do have really oily skin. This comes in 15 shades. There's definitely room for improvement within the shade range. I would like for them to introduce another couple of shades at least, and it has a gel-like consistency. This gives a natural soft matte finish which is stunning on the skin, and it contains light reflecting particles to disguise imperfections, again without hindering longevity. This is hydrating but non-greasy, and it does dry down. This is ultra lightweight, and a little goes a very long way. The formulation does contain a small amount of alcohol. That alcohol is required to add to the longevity and the dry down ability of this foundation, and it doesn't upset me that it's included within this foundation at all. It's fragrance and essential oil free, and it's also cruelty free. You can apply it with your fingers, a brush, or a sponge. I actually prefer a sponge with this formula. It seems more airbrushing and blurring on the skin. And although it doesn't advertise being transfer resistant, I do find that this is transfer resistant for 4 to 6 hours. This doesn't sink into my fine lines, it doesn't sink into my wrinkles, my pores, my dryness. It just looks stunning on my skin, and it lasts a good 8 to 10 hours on me. Let's move on to those foundations that will give you light to full coverage, and both of the foundations that appear within this category, even if you build them up to full coverage, you will still get a skin-like finish. They are both stunning. This first one I want to talk about is the Dior Backstage Face and Body. Again, gives light to full coverage, and it's suitable for most skin types, although I would say if you do have a really dehydrated dry skin, you're probably going to want to give this one a miss, because it does contain quite a high quantity of alcohol within this formula, which doesn't bother me at all with my dry skin, but it may bother you with yours. This comes in 38 shades and has a runny consistency. It gives a natural matte finish, which is extremely flattering on my skin. It's waterproof, heat-proof, humidity and sweat resistant, as well as being transfer resistant as well. This was my saviour on bonfire night. Obviously, it's getting really cold here in the UK. Hats and scarf weather is upon us. This does not budge. If I have a hat on that is caressing my forehead and I take my hat off, none of this foundation has gone anywhere. It still looks perfect. This is lightweight. As I said, it does contain alcohol. It also contains fragrance and essential oils. So if you are sensitive to those ingredients, you are going to want to give this one a miss. It can be applied with a brush, a sponge, or your fingers. Even though this is a thin consistency and I am losing some of the product within a sponge, I do prefer sponge application with this product. I just feel like it looks more flawless and more airbrushed. A little tip for anybody who does have dry skin: once you've applied this, if it is looking a little bit dry around your dry areas, just grab a damp blending sponge and put a little bit of moisturizer on that damp blending sponge, massage it in a little bit, and then bounce it over the top of those dry areas, and you will find that your foundation and your skin is transformed to another level. Really stunning. This foundation has amazing staying power. This lasts over 12 hours on my skin, looking perfect without sinking into fine lines, wrinkles, any pores, and I don't have to powder this in place. This dries down, touch dry, without powder. The next foundation in the light to full coverage category is a stunner. It really is. This is a relatively new find for me. I've only been using this for the last 2 to 3 weeks. It's not been off my skin. You may have noticed in previous videos that this has been in the description box. I cannot get enough, but the beauty does come with a price tag. I'm pre-warning you, please don't come for me. This is from Mare, and it is the Soft Fluid Long Wear Foundation. It's suitable for all skin types. It gives a natural soft focus second skin finish. As soon as this hits my skin, this airbrushes everything that it touches. I feel like my pores look smaller. I feel like my imperfections look blurred. It's seamless coverage, pore blurring with the tiniest amount of product. You don't need a lot of this. It's weightless, it's hydrating, and it really does balance my skin tone out effortlessly. This smooths my texture. You can apply it with a brush or a sponge or your fingertips. I actually prefer to apply this with a sponge, even though I know this is pricey and I really should be trying to save as much of the product as possible. I know I'm losing a lot of product within the sponge, but it just seems to apply more smoothly for me with the use of a sponge. This doesn't sit in my dryness or my fine lines, and it contains a lot of beneficial skincare ingredients that counteract the tiniest little bit of alcohol that's in this formula. This doesn't offend me in the slightest, like I've said before. It's not going to affect my skin. It's such a small amount of alcohol, but this does contain fragrance and essential oils. So if you are sensitive to those ingredients, again, you may want to give this one a miss. This smells like all the Mare products, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I personally quite like it, although it took some getting used to. This foundation wears so beautifully on my skin. It is perfection from the moment I apply it to when I go to bed. Obviously, I take it off before I go to bed, but you know what I mean. It lasts a good 10-12 hours on my skin, and it's just gorgeous. Moving on to the medium to full coverage category, and this first foundation is a winner. It really is, and in complete contrast to the last foundation, this is an affordable foundation that I have raved on about for probably the last 6 months. I love this. It is superb. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Foundation and Concealer, and it's suitable for anybody with a combination oily to a dry skin. Even those with really flaky dry skin, I feel could get away with this, because on those days where I have flaky dry patches, I wear this and it really doesn't emphasize my dry patches. This comes in 12 different shades. The consistency is a creamy, runny texture, and it gives a satin, natural matte finish. This is lightweight and hydrating. It contains rich emollient butters and glycerin, which are beautiful on the skin. It's slightly airbrushing as well. It doesn't settle in fine lines and pores and dryness. You can apply it with a brush, a sponge. I feel like it's slightly too thick to apply it with your fingertips, but if you feel like I'm wrong, do let everybody know in the comment section. This for me is transfer resistant, although it doesn't advertise that on the website. So if you have really oily skin, that might not be the same for you. It's non-drying. It's alcohol-free. It does contain a fragrance though, so once again, if you are sensitive to fragrance, you may want to give this one a miss. This lasts incredibly well on my skin. I would say a good 10 hours. I do have to slightly powder my T-zone and slightly around the corners of my nose, which is my problem area. Otherwise, it gets a little too shiny for me throughout the day, but it is still stunning. The only negative I can say about this range is that I cannot find my complete 100% shade match. I am the shade fair to light. Fair is slightly too fair for me. Fair to light is perfect on first application, but it does oxidize slightly throughout the day, becoming slightly deeper, so can be a little bit too dark by the end of the day. But again, that is my only negative, and we're taking cost out of the equation. Regardless of cost, it's an amazing foundation. Moving on to the last foundation in the medium to full coverage category, and in fact in this entire video, I had to put this one in there even though of the extremely large price tag, because this has been my ultimate favorite for the last 3 months, and this is also my mum's ride or die foundation. She adores this because it just airbrushes and it is beautiful on her more mature skin. Now, that being said, whether she will actually repurchase this with her own money once it's gone is another story altogether. I've got a feeling she will probably go for a different option, something slightly more affordable, but We shall see. This is from Clé de Peau and it is the Radiant Fluid Foundation Matte. Now they do two versions of this. One is the natural version, which is slightly more glowy. This one is the matte version. I just find it wears better on me throughout the day and it's more flattering and more airbrushing than the natural version, although the natural version is also stunning but doesn't last as long on my skin. This comes in 31 shades and is suitable for all skin types. It has a really creamy, liquidy texture and a natural matte finish, which, like I said, immediately airbrushes the skin. This has a lot of very similar qualities as the brand new Lisa Eldridge foundation when it's first applied. Now, after a few hours, that foundation goes really shiny on me, whereas this one doesn't tend to do that on me. I will get to grips with the new Lisa Eldridge foundation, but at the moment, I'm not at the stage where that foundation can go in this video. Does look very skin-like when it's first applied though, I will give it that. This is a lightweight and hydrating formula. It's got glycerin and some beautiful antioxidants in there. It smooths over pores and texture. It doesn't sit in fine lines or my dryness. It's also transfer resistant. This does contain a small amount of alcohol, which once again doesn't offend me, but just like the Mare foundation, this does contain essential oils and a fragrance. So that's it for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful in some way. Do let me know what you've thought about it in the comments section below, as well as leaving me your comment with your ride or die skin-like foundation, because if I haven't tried that particular foundation, I will definitely get my hands on it and try it out for a future video. I have got through so many foundations in the run-up to this video. It's been very time consuming and I really wanted to feature more affordable options within this video, but I also wanted to feature the best of the bunch, and that I feel I've definitely done. Some of the options that I tried just didn't make the grade. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.